This is an Audio Wool original.
This episode of Frightday is brought to you by Gates of Hell Chipotle Hot Sauce by Frightday. Bold chipotle flavor blended with habanero peppers for just the right burn. Kissed with garlic and passion fruit. Zero human blood, like none at all. Visit shop.frightday.com before the first batch disappears.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you'd like to support us, go to patreon.com/frightday.
So I was going to like this movie, but it sounds like Jacob liked it, so maybe I shouldn't like this.
Please don't start this already.
Did you not see my beautiful poster I made for this occasion?
Oh, I actually can't.
What does it
make
say?
it out. What's it say?
It says the scary of 61st.
No, you fucker.
Oh.
It's on top of my The Lobster poster and my Hocus Pocus wall calendar.
What are your thoughts on the Hocus Pocus sequel?
I'm so excited. It's my number one movie of 2022.
Funny, it is my daughter's number one movie of 2022 as well. They're big Hocus Pocus fans.
Hey guys, Byron here. Welcome to my channel. Adolescence, am I right? That time in life where you're sailing smooth, you know exactly who you are and where you're going. Oh, what's this? Turns out it's more like a state of near constant anxiety and confusion that could very easily spiral into a deep desperation for loneliness relief. Tonight, we're going to be taking the challenge as we review Jane Schoenbrun's We're All Going to the World's Fair. I'm joined tonight by Kelly.
Hi.
And Jacob.
Hello.
Who killed Sam?
Oh, no, Sam can't make it because he's in the computer room. Are you laughing? I can't tell, Kelly. We're on Zoom. I'm not near you. You've got to use your voice.
I'm pretty good at using my voice.
Jacob, behind the scenes for a long time now, writer, reviewer at Frightday.com. You're from Denver, Colorado. Welcome to the program proper.
Thank you.
Yeah, people may have heard your voice. I think you did that Telluride wrap-up in that cabin.
That's true.
Was it
It was like 3 years ago?
2019, 2020. I can't remember the last Telluride I went to, but happy to have you this week. In general, I think Kelly and I are looking forward to getting more of the Frightday.com folks involved in the podcast. So
Only if this goes well.
I was going to say, unless you really fuck this up, Jacob. Because
Well, as long Jacob just needs to agree with me, and we'll be fine.
maybe we should get to know Jacob a little bit. I know you were trying to do that a few minutes ago.
I was. You got
by
mad at me
shouting
because you said, wait for the show.
Yeah, and you said, this is the show. And I said, Kelly, you know how the show goes. I have to say all this stuff up front. Is that a large bottle of wine you're drinking out of right now?
It's like a quarter of a glass of wine left in the bottom of a bottle from Easter, and it's going to go
you
bad.
could still
so
pour it into a glass. Number one, Jacob, you're known for hot takes.
And that is true.
Most of your takes are at least warm. Everyone knows I hate the 80s. Kelly, I don't know what her hot take is. She's got a lot of bad taste. But what do you think is your most controversial thought on the genre?
Oh, 100% my hatred for Ari Aster.
Fuck, there it was. I was hoping this wasn't going to come up.
Both of his movies so far have been the most boring.
What?
You'll have to edit out too many words if I give my true opinions.
Oh, no,
It's
he
fine.
doesn't. It's okay. It's fine.
Okay, I remember when Hereditary was coming out, A24, I don't remember who was doing it, but there was some like promotion type thing where they're like, wear your heart rate sensor watch to see this movie.
Yeah, okay.
And I remember seeing that. I actually saw a pre-screening before it came out. But I remember seeing that ad and thinking, I wish I was wearing an Apple Watch so they could have seen my heart rate stay at like a very minimal resting pace the entire time, especially when I fell asleep.
Oh,
Okay, but,
God.
like-
Okay, so you're talking about during Hereditary, though, specifically,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So the
also
didn't bother you. Didn't
Can
faze
we
you.
No, it
not
was like-
say
it
that
was-
part? The big spoiler.
Everybody,
of the movie?
Dead
come
giveaways.
on.
Jesus.
If you don't know
Okay,
that
and
at this point, you're not watching it. It doesn't matter.
All right.
so Midsummer,
That seems like such a you movie.
Well, yeah, and Jacob's an A24 guy. He's pretty art housey. Before you move away from Hereditary, I think that I had a very similar situation with Paranormal Activity. I was the third test audience in Chicago.
No.
That's exciting.
And they had hyped it up so much that when I saw it, I was like, this is fucking not great. This is not a good
Here's the
film.
significant difference, though. Many people say Paranormal Activity is shit. No one says that Hereditary is shit.
Jacob does. And actually, I was talking to someone the other day who I was pitching X to that said they didn't like Hereditary, but they liked X. So
I accidentally mentioned X during a client intake meeting today when a kid told me his favorite musician was Kid Cudi. And I was like, oh, have you seen his new movie? Oh, shit. Never mind. Yeah.
I didn't really like X that much either. But anyway,
Oh,
so
right.
Hereditary.
That's okay.
yeah, let's.
I think I've finally broken it down and figured it out inside my own head why his movies don't affect me. And that's because when I go into horror movies, I automatically suspend disbelief. And so when horror movies deal with grief and stuff in the real world, it kind of just completely goes by me because I'm not in the mindset to deal with real world stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I watch a lot of dramas that are really, really heavy and, like, destroy me on an
Like what?
emotional
Give me an
level.
example.
There's a French film called Custody.
Okay.
Which it has
Let's
to
not
deal
be
with.
snobby. Let's not be snobby.
That's
Give me a
Jacob.
movie
Jacob-
that I've seen.
Custody has to deal with exactly what it sounds like, relationship breaking down and the custody fight between the two parents. And the ending scene in that had me walking out of the theater wanting to just jump into oncoming traffic. I
Sure.
was just completely dead inside, and I love that.
Closer was the last movie that made me feel like that.
Closer? Really? All right. Well,
Is that the one?
Relationship horror is like the most depressing drama there is to me. It's like Natalie Portman, Clive Owen. It's an old one, but
no, that makes sense.
okay,
I
but
don't know.
I
Midsummer,
just can't
though.
imagine
What's-
not being jostled by a.
Oh, stop it again! I have to beep it again.
Okay.
Stop
Also,
talking
I
about the
hate
big
it.
thing.
Hereditary was so, as you put it, it felt very Wanra to me.
Oh.
It just felt like a James Wan, like the crawling up the fucking.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, can I swear?
Yes, you can.
You-
We're
you-
back,
yeah,
we're
you
back
can
to
swear.
being
So
degenerate.
the floating in the corner of a room thing.
Yeah, but that's
the,
third
like,
act. Third
up
act
on the-
was.
Love it.
It was so dumb. The piano wire. I was just like,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is so
yeah.
stupid. This looks so dumb.
All right, since I have to cut that entire take, do you have any other hot takes about horror?
Okay, let me talk about
No,
Midsummer.
because my problem with that movie is super petty and super stupid. So when I saw the trailer for it first, the trailer, the widescreen bars on the top and bottom were white. I thought that looked so cool with the like light pastel colorway.
Yeah.
And then I go see the movie and it's not white, and that just pissed me off to
All
a
right.
point where I just couldn't come back from it.
So he's petty.
It looked like the Jay-Z Big Pimpin' music video, which also had white bars.
which is sick.
I do like Jay-Z.
Kelly does love Jay-Z. Anything.
Oh,
from
that's
the
my
early
hot take.
2000s.
I like Jay-Z more than Beyonce. That's my hot take.
I also thought them jumping off the cliff was very lame, and it didn't affect me at all. I laughed.
So let's rewind. We're a very similar age, but let's go back to you entering horror. What's the first horror film that you can remember watching?
Oh man, so my parents didn't want me watching horror growing up, but I had a neighborhood friend who lived down the street who had an older sister who got me into music like Mindless Self-Indulgence and Kitty. Speaking of which, Kitty has their first record comes out at Record Store Day on Saturday. I cannot wait to pick that up on vinyl.
Is that this weekend?
Yeah, it's Saturday. But she also got us into horror movies. I mean, I can't remember the exact first one, but I do remember the first one that really got under my skin for some reason. I don't know why. It's not really even a horror movie, I don't think, because I don't even remember anything about it, but Mothman?
No, Mothman's actually legitimately scary.
Is it just called Mothman?
No. I think it's Richard Gere, right? It's like a love story or something.
Prophecies. Mothman Prophecies was Richard Gere.
It's kind of a love story, but it's also super spooky, and it's based on a real story. And when he unplugs the phone and the phone's still working, that's very scary.
It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was probably middle school or younger, and I had to like walk home down the block with no street lights on, no light. Like I was terrified of the dark. And the walk home after that movie, and one of the neighbors on the walk home always had like this weird glowing like purple light coming out of their garage that really freaked me out. So I saw that, and then I just ran the rest of the way home. And I, unlike Byron, I am not a runner in that.
No, I'm not either.
I mean, Kelly, you probably have a couple questions, but we
Yeah,
don't need
Johnny
to talk
Depp
about
or Amber Heard.
Oh, Johnny Depp.
Okay, good. Good.
you guys.
My ex has been texting me nonstop the past week talking about the trial, and I'm just like, okay, just give me all the info because I'm not watching it.
Well, you don't need to watch it. read the really trashy tabloids about it. That's way more fun.
She was in All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. Like, that's what she's known for.
She was. Well,
Or probably
I mean,
not known for.
I was going to say that movie got shelved for like 3 years, but
true.
I guess I'll set a 1-minute timer real quick. Jacob, you have 1 minute to tell Kelly why she's wrong about the Scary of 61st, and go.
Dasha
Nekrasova.
That's all I have to say.
Fucking hate her so much.
Okay, the cinematography was like the
45 seconds.
best everything I've seen last year. The dialogue to me was hilarious.
Poor man's Polanski.
The whole vibe. I just as soon as it started, I knew I was gonna like it, and it didn't disappoint at all. It was just a fun movie. It was a vibe movie. It was dumb, but it was enjoyable.
And looking back, you have no regrets. Like, having done a little bit more research about... I mean, you probably knew about Dasha going in, but...
Yeah, no, I knew about her.
You knew what you're going
Nightmare human.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. She seems like she's a lot.
Nightmare.
But that's the end of that.
I'm a lot.
Socialism.
That conversation's done. That's 1 minute. And oh, shoot, guys. It's time to get to work because these DVD copies of Dreamcatcher aren't going to put themselves away.
Okay, Dreamcatcher. Biggest disappointment ever. That was such a good book.
It's time for staff picks.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good.
Werewolf movie with E.T.'s mom in it.
The Howling, horror, straight ahead.
One of my favorite Stephen King books, and that movie was fucking awful.
Sure. Who wants to start? We got 3 staff picks today.
Jacob.
Kelly? We're just going to make Jacob go?
Mm-hmm.
I'm bending the rules a little bit here. Not necessarily horror, but neither is the movie we're talking about.
Okay.
The whole time I was watching World's Fair, I just kept thinking about this movie for some reason, which is 2014's I Believe in Unicorns.
Welcome to the future. It's just like the present, but more messed up.
It is another coming-of-age story about a young teenage girl. It kind of has the same kind of handheld camera vibe, like the same colors being used, but it was exclusively shot on Super 8 and 16 millimeter film, and I just love the look of that movie. Some of the stuff that happens in it is very horrific. It's definitely not horror, but it's very kind of young, impressionable girl finds herself with an older man who is not necessarily good, and
it's like coming of age tension.
Yeah, stuff hits the fan. The 2 main characters reminded me of one another, which that was actually Natalia Dyer from Stranger Things.
Which Kelly
I did like her.
She was
great.
16 years old playing a 16-year-old girl, so they actually cast someone age appropriate in this film.
And she looks young, so she probably looked 12.
Yes.
Well, it has Julia Gardner too, right?
Yes. She also.
I like her.
And one of my favorites, Amy Seimetz, is in this as well. So I haven't seen this movie. I'm excited because I heard it mentioned back in 2014 and it kind of like slipped past me. I feel like it was one of those festival movies that fell onto my whiteboard and then was quickly.
I think it was a South by Southwest premiere.
Very cool. All right, I'll allow it, I guess. Kelly, do you have a more horror film than Jacob does?
I do.
What is it?
I believe we covered this one for the show back in the day, Byron. You can tell me if we did. Same director as my all-time favorite movie.
I don't know what that would be.
Elle Fanning.
Oh, I don't know.
Christina Hendricks.
Okay.
And a very odd appearance by Keanu Reeves. Neon Demon.
I see 20 or 30 girls come in here every day, mostly from small towns with big dreams. And they're all good. You're going to be great.
Beauty isn't everything. It's the only thing.
She has that thing.
Look at Jessie.
Who wants sour milk when you can get fresh meat?
I know what I look like. Women would kill to look like this.
I won't be able to give the full reason for the reason I'm picking it until we do the review. But what I will say is It's a coming-of-age story that looks to be completely unrelated to the coming-of-age story in this movie, but I would argue that it is like the absolute inverse.
Well, and for people who haven't seen Neon Demon and haven't heard our episode on it, which is, I believe, 88.
It was a while ago.
What's it about?
It's a 16-year-old girl, which I think is roughly the age of our lead in the movie tonight.
Something like that. I don't know if it's ever explicitly
I don't
said.
think it is either, but she is a model, or an aspiring model at least. She goes to LA, and it's a pretty common story about the trauma that a young woman experiences trying to make it in LA. But to be a model, somebody in theory has a great deal of comfort in their own skin. And I think the way that the heroine for tonight's movie presents herself is quite possibly the opposite of that. But I would argue that by the end of the movie, they've completely switched positions. And so I was actually thinking about that during this movie, and how one of my favorite things about tonight's movie is how the horror topic of the movie evolves over the course of the movie. It's not what you think it's going to be. And with this movie, the Neon Demon, or just Neon Demon. No, it's the Neon Demon.
It's the.
With the Neon Demon, it is an experience of the opposite in terms of a young woman's coming of age and her comfort with herself, arguably what outside influences do to impact the level of comfort a young woman has with themselves. So, Byron,
I don't know if I would stamp my approval on that statement entirely, but
you don't need to stamp your approval. I don't need your approval.
not on the movie. I just think on your interpretation of tonight's films.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I think we probably will. The Neon Demon's a good movie, though. What's Nicholas been up to? I know he tried to do a TV show.
I was thinking about what he's been up to because I miss him.
Yeah, he did that TV show, I believe it was an Amazon show, Too Old to Die Young, which I didn't end up watching.
I never watched it either. He's got 4 upcoming movies. Also, the new movie by Ari Aster, it's coming out this year, isn't it?
Yeah, but we don't need to talk about it.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
It looks...
The Northman is coming
Joaquin?
out, the new Robert Eggers film.
Okay, it's going to be...
and I are
We're going on Friday.
The better version of Ari Aster, I should say.
I mean, they can both be good.
All right, guys. Moving forward, I'm going to go a little bit more straightforward and a little bit younger, unfortunately. 2011 found footage film called Megan is Missing.
Ta-da! And here we are, the stars of the hour on Amy's new video camera.
You're a hoe. H-O-ho.
Oh, there you are. Hello, my name's Amy Herman, and today's January 13, 2007.
Oh, shit! The hot squad has arrived.
Get the out of my face.
Oh, fuck you, bitch!
Oh my god! I was talking to this kind of cool guy, and he's gonna be there, so I thought I'd check him out.
Damn, all the hot girls in one place?
Yeah, where you're not.
I was at summer camp when I was 10.
You were 10 when you did it? I'll just know. We'll know when the right guy comes along.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, cute girl.
Doesn't he look like Brad Pitt?
Why don't you come on over here and play with me?
Yeah, in your dreams, you dork. So, alone at last.
I was just wondering if you talked to Megan today.
No, I haven't. Megan Stewart, a beautiful, popular 14-year-old girl, vanished without a trace after going out with friends 2 days ago.
The footage clearly shows that she encounters a man who appears to lead her away.
I loved her so much, and now she's gone because of you!
Well, now that you've come forward, do you fear for your own life?
Do you trust me?
Yes.
What did you do to Megan?
Anyone see this one? Kelly just made a snarl face at me. Why? Really? 14-year-old Megan and her best friend Amy spend a lot of time on the internet, posting videos of themselves and chatting with guys online. One night, Megan chats with a boy named Josh who convinces her to meet him for a date. That doesn't go well, and Megan goes missing. It wasn't the first film directed by this guy named Michael Goy. Before that, he did a movie called Voyeur and Sexy Urban Legends, if that's kind of setting the tone.
Oh, and since that, he directed the single worst series ever to involve the state of Montana.
He went on to do a bunch of TV, an episode of Pretty Little Liars, which I believe Jacob loves.
Hey!
American Horror Story.
Best show of all time.
The Gifted, Nashville, Riverdale, Charmed, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and Big Sky, which seems kind of like a full circle type situation with this guy. Megan is Missing. It was super low budget, $35,000. So obviously it's pretty rough around the edges, even for a found footage film. And it initially got a really limited release due to some controversy around it, which makes sense considering it's a 14-year-old girl who goes missing and involves rape and violence towards her. So I guess consider that before you rent this on Amazon. But yeah, I remember it being pretty effective. It came out right in that sweet spot of found footage, but it's no Poughkeepsie tapes.
Oh, that's interesting. Megan from Megan is Missing went to high school in North Hollywood, and when I briefly lived in LA, I lived right next to North Hollywood High School.
Oh.
Really?
What if I could have prevented the abduction?
You could have.
Well, you let her die. It's all on your shoulders. And I guess I spoiled that. I don't know if she dies or not. Honestly, it's been so long. But yeah, just Megan is Missing. Check it out if you can handle that kind of thing. But of course, before we lock up, we got this new employee to haze. But before we haze him, I'd like to take a second and welcome and initiate some new members of the Frightday Society. I think we did Jacob last week.
We did.
Remember, Jacob? You remember the Frightday Society?
I used to be for the longest time, and then my card expired, and I forgot to update it for the longest time, so nothing
rude.
on Patreon was working.
So rude.
So
I guess before we initiate new members, though, I'd like to say we've got a bystander, a concerned citizen, Korgzilla. I just want to say that I see you, and I appreciate you. Concerned citizen. Okay. Jose R. Thanks so much for paying for the whole dang year, becoming a member of the FDS. Thank you and welcome. Jose, I need you to...
I want 5 ideas for Moon June, Jose.
We have quite a few, but I would like to choose one from the 5.
I would like to crowdsource some of them, so I want 5 ideas.
That's great. That's a good one. So welcome, and that's your task. Email kelly@frightday.com. Aaron L. I'd like to thank you and welcome you. I'm sleepy, so maybe get an extra hour of sleep this week for me. I don't know. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm exhausted.
That's the single lamest recommendation.
It's an easy one. It means they have to sleep an extra hour this week.
Yeah, that's really bad. That's just not trying. Aaron, I would like 5 ideas for Turkey Month, please.
No, Turkey Month is not happening this year.
Oh, you're so wrong.
No, it's not.
You're so wrong.
Well, I'm out of Turkish serial killers. I can't do this. I have no true crime. But if you like true crime and want more of it, you could join the FDS, where there's bonus episodes of Byron Serial Corner, The Writer's Room, Toast to Toast PM with Wine Kelly, The Cinema Autopsy, so much more. Over 100 episodes of bonus content there when you become a member of the FDS, which is an important social club, not a cult.
It's a cult.
Okay, stop it, Kelly.
I'm sorry.
Cult.frightday.com. Check it out. And on that note, guys, pack your bags, print out your tickets, save it to your Apple Wallet, because it's time to go to the World's Fair. Of course, that's where we're all going as we review it. We're all going to the World's Fair.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
We're All Going to the World's Fair is a 2021 American coming-of-age horror drama film directed and written by Jane Schoenbrun. Reality and fantasy begin to blur when a teen immerses herself in a role-playing horror game online. What were you going to say, Kelly?
I was going to say that you brought this movie up like 4 times this year before I finally said something other than, what are you talking about? There are no World's Fairs right now.
You're initially excited.
That one got me multiple times. I was very confused.
Mm-hmm. They don't do those anymore, Kelly.
No. But then I thought, I was like, oh, is this a movie about H.H. Holmes? Huh. That sounds interesting.
What happened to all those H.H. Holmes movies that they were making? They were doing Devil in the White City, but...
Question. That was Leo, wasn't it?
Yeah. I feel like, he's moving on to Jim Jones, right?
Pro or anti-Leo, Jacob?
DiCaprio?
Yeah.
Titanic's cool.
That's your example?
I like this guy. I like him.
That's the first time I saw boobs in the movie theater.
Which is excellent, but has nothing to do with fucking Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well, he was there.
Sure, they weren't his.
He was in the room. Remember? He's the one doing the drawing like a French girl.
Jacob, have you heard the story about my Leonardo DiCaprio birthday party?
I'm not.
Save it for a Patreon exclusive, Kelly.
Okay, I'll save it
It's
for
time to talk Schoenbrun. 2009 graduate of Boston University's film program. Kelly, give me a vibe check on that.
It's a pretty good film program. I mean,
Pretty
it's not like a
good.
top 5, but it's good.
Well, Jane didn't enjoy the experience. Called it soul-crushing in its by-the-bookness.
I would imagine Jane to be an individual who probably has a creativity that works better outside of traditional parameters. So
I think that sounds about
probably
right.
a classic example of somebody who shouldn't have been pushed into a 4-year degree would be my guess there.
Yeah. So it stripped away the, quote, whatever, let's make a movie in the woods kind of joy. Oh, that's not great. In school, though, they worked as a production assistant on short films by fellow students Benny and Josh Safdie, also known as the Safdie brothers. Kelly, I feel like let's see. Daddy Longlegs? Have you seen that one?
Sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
That's like a mumblecore film that I saw years ago. Heaven Knows What, haven't seen. Good Time, heard a lot about. Jacob, I bet you've seen Good Time. I bet you got like a steelbook version of that.
I hated Heaven Knows What.
What about Good Time, though?
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Uncut Gems.
Oh, I do love Uncut Gems.
Yeah, Safdie's talented couple of guys. But then Jane moved to New York City, where they worked for the Independent Filmmaker Project, now known as Gotham, a nonprofit that offers resources for emerging creatives. Jane later left for Kickstarter, where they worked with different directors interested in using the platform to launch their campaigns, but at that point not really actively making films for themselves. That wasn't until 2016, where they spearheaded a project called Collective Unconscious, which is like an anthology-style film where they assigned 5 filmmakers to adapt each other's dreams. Next came 2017's The Ice Slicer, which I love this idea. The Ice Slicer is a secret TV show blending the boldest new American filmmaking into mind-expanding mixtape-style episodes. I've screened in hundreds of venues around the world, from MoMA to Rotterdam to Kansas City's oldest porn theater, and collaborated with filmmakers like Ari Aster, Jacob's favorite, David Lowery, Jennifer Reeder, Amy Seimetz, one of my favorites, and also one standout that I saw, Harrison Atkins, was mentioned on this, whose film Lace Crater we covered in episode 86. Did you ever see Lace Crater, Jacob?
Did not.
I think
that
you'd
feels
really
like a Jacob
that one.
movie, too.
Yeah, feels like it a lot. Them and many more directors worked on this project. It's a radical film culture on the fringes of America's late capitalist hellscape. I love that concept. I think it's really interesting. Unfortunately, their online store has been shut down due to COVID, and I can't find where to watch these secret little shorts, so I'm kind of disappointed, but I'll keep my eye out for it. And around this time, Schoenbrun became immersed in the world of creepypasta, which is something that I'm always trying to avoid on this show. I hate it. But I think, well, we'll get into it. Creepypasta, urban legends via the internet, of course. I guess we did do Slender Man at some point.
Yeah.
I think it was mostly the documentary surrounding the Waukesha stabbings. But did you end up talking about proper Slender Man on that episode?
I do not remember 100%.
It was a long time
I feel like
ago.
I did, but I just remember lots of anger you expressed about me wanting to talk more about the creepypasta version of it. That's all.
Well, it's corny and cheesy and I hate it, but something good did come out of creepypasta. A self-induced hallucination.
Did you watch that? Because I saw it, but I couldn't find it anywhere to watch.
I couldn't either. So this is a film that came out in 2018, comprised entirely of YouTube clips. Can't find it. It was initially free on Vimeo, but yeah, if anyone has a link or a copy of that, I'd be very curious to see that. Schoenbrun again turned to creepypasta for tonight's featured film. We're all going to the World's Fair, which was filmed, luckily, right before the pandemic in New York's mid-Hudson Valley, and it cost about $175,000 to make. The film originally was going to consist solely of YouTube-style videos streaming in autoplay, which we do get a little bit of that.
Mhm.
Would have been an interesting, definitely leaning more into like an art film if it was constantly auto-playing video clips. But
Speaking of art films, I have another hot take question for Jacob. I'm sorry.
Oh, I do it.
Terrence Malick, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Tree of Life was the #1 worst movie theater experience I've ever had in my life until I recently saw Inland Empire by David Lynch.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and leave. You two fucking dickheads can finish the show.
All right, so the YouTube-style videos, though,
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Do you not remember the stupid CGI dinosaur in Tree of Life?
I fucking love Tree of Life, and the only thing I love more is David Lynch. Fuck.
A real ASMR
Man, it's like
YouTuber.
one step forward and 2 steps back with you, Jacob. Jesus.
Slight sounds. He's a complicated guy. There's this guy named Evan Santiago, who's a no-budget horror film creator. He had a little clip that was used in this to portray one of the YouTubers, as well as a clip of a trans electronic artist and video essayist named May Leitz. So that's cool to involve those more authentic elements into this. Anna Cobb, who plays Casey, it's her first major film that she's done. Her family actually moved from Texas to New York to shoot this film. What do we got Casey thoughts? Anna Cobb. Kelly?
Oh, she was incredible. She had slight vibes of Elliot Page.
Sure.
I said the same thing while watching it.
Shut up. I don't care what you think anymore.
I was actually going to maybe choose Hard Candy for my staff pick, actually.
She was amazing and incredibly convincing. I have to say one of the most uncomfortable moments I've experienced watching a movie in a long time was the sequence where she's dancing.
Which,
because
I mean, yeah, we should walk up to that maybe a little bit. But
back teenage PTSD for sure. I looked at that and I looked at her doing that. I'm like, yep, that was me. That's what I looked like. That's the vibe that I had, except nerdier, but like just as awkward. So I thought she was amazing, and I'm hoping she does a lot more stuff because she was obviously what made or broke the movie because she was 95% of the movie.
Yeah,
she was amazing. She carried it. I thought she did a really good job. Fine, Jacob, what did you think?
I mean, I almost the exact same as you. That I mean, if you're gonna like this movie, you have to like her performance. I was drawn in immediately. Just the 5-minute cold open of really not saying a lot and just kind of sitting in front of a computer. I was just kind of immediately drawn in and I don't know what's going on right now, but I'm interested and I want to see. I felt Elliot Page mixed with Christina Ricci.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that makes sense.
have you seen 8th Grade, the Bo Burnham film?
Oh yeah.
I felt a little bit of that as well.
She also, Anna Cobb has been cast in an upcoming Luca Guadagnino film.
What did he do before?
Yeah, can you? I'm not going to pretend that I have any idea who that is.
The most remake of Suspiria I've ever.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Monster. But Call Me by Your Name was a wonderful movie.
Oh, he did Call Me by Your Name. Oh, okay, I do love him. So you like that? How can you be so right about some things and so wrong about others? It is so confusing.
You can't nail him down, and that's kind of what I like about Jacob.
Man.
I respect it. I agree with you, Jacob, though, about the first scene kind of sucking you in, this Bloody Mary-esque for an internet generation moment. Right off the bat, we see Casey, and she's recording herself with the Mac camera. The nostalgia of even that sound, like the countdown to photo booth camera going off, is really triggering to a very specific time in my life.
Can we pause for a minute? Did you guys, I'm older than you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys have any experiences growing up of awkward chat room situations that were not maybe as, I don't know, maybe as developed as the one illustrated in this movie, but weird scenarios? Anything?
Yeah, a million of them.
Okay.
I had Yahoo Pool chat rooms when I was
Oh my god, I was going to say
school,
the same
right?
thing.
Yeah,
Yahoo Pool. Yeah.
That,
so hold on,
at the
explain
beginning-
to me what Yahoo Pool was, because I definitely did not do
It's
that.
literally like what you would think. Like you pull
like
a
a
pool
JavaScript
cube
game.
back with your mouse. I don't know what
You could play
other
chess and checkers.
But pool was where all the cool happening action was at, and you would just chat and then eventually DM with people. It was really There was something really raw and weird, but also intriguing about the early days of internet chat rooms.
No, that was me, but like, again, peak nerd Kelly. So I was really into Cartoon Network.
Oh.
And I would get on like AOL chat rooms for Cartoon Network.
Like Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
Yeah. And I remember having like totally oblivious long discussions with people that, because I have no memory, my memory is just really weird and horrible, but I do have blurbs of, oh wow, I remember like this person used to talk about wanting to meet up and stuff. Wow, I bet they were probably like a pedophile, huh? That's interesting. Yeah.
There was early days of AOL as well. Eventually, of course, AIM. But AIM was definitely more for more people that you knew or better knew, I guess.
Yeah.
Your high school crush. You'd wait for them to get on, and then you'd hear the door slam when they logged off, and it was heartbreaking.
It was really sad. You're waiting up past 11 on a Friday night, being like, when are they going to get on?
Your parents can't use the phone because the modem is tied up to the phone line?
Yeah. My twin sister, I would hear her slamming digits on her VTech cordless phone to try to boot me off the internet. It was bad.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
It's funny that this movie can kind of pull from those feelings of, I mean, late 90s, early 2000s nostalgia, but also like be so current, you know?
Yeah. I think it had little breadcrumbs that were enough to capture nostalgia from a lot of different generations.
This moment, though, the opening moment, we haven't gotten past that, really.
Hey guys, Casey here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking the World's Fair Challenge.
Casey does this internet ritual, which is really interesting. Like, it says 3 times.
I want to go to the World's Fair. I want to go to the World's Fair. I want to go to the World's Fair.
And then pricks her finger a whole bunch, which is a really cool moment. Smears the blood on the laptop.
In a very weird way.
Yeah, it seems so
if you're gonna prick your finger,
excessive.
why do you stab it that forcefully? Like you don't need to do that to draw blood.
It was very, very awkward.
I was just thinking if the little prick of the pin accidentally slipped underneath the nail.
Oh, fuck. Jacob? Come on, man.
You know, Jacob, I was thinking about this too, and I felt like it was supposed to demonstrate she was replicating something she had seen someone else do for this same ritual. And that was, I think that's probably the only reason she did it that way.
Or she is just a genuinely uncomfortable and awkward person, too. I don't know. She plays the video.
Oh, the video.
And stares directly into this, like, flashing blue and purple lights that bounce off her face. It's a really cool sequence. And then all of a sudden...
Okay, that was the World's Fair Challenge. Thanks for watching. And I'll make sure to update if I start to notice any changes.
And the movie starts, which...
I couldn't help think that it was going to be like a modern Zoomer style of The Ring. Like you watch a video and then like bad shit starts happening.
It's 100% what I was expecting.
And in a way, that kind of happens, but in a more mental health, less supernatural kind of way.
I'm so interested to hear how my take differs from you two. Because I get the sense that mine's wildly different than Byron's.
Okay, we'll get there. Let's talk about some specific scenes.
The shot of her watching the video was incredibly cool just because the light was bouncing off her face, but not off the walls of her room. And it was very like, you would think that the whole room would be flashing like that, but it wasn't. It's just focused on her face only. And I just thought that really stood out and looked really interesting.
It must be some sort of compression with the Apple photo booth camera. It's weird to say organic when you're talking about early digital cameras, but there's some moments with cell phones that are not like crystal clear iPhone something plus images. You know, everything's a little bit degraded. Everything feels kind of analog, which is weird when you're talking about digital cameras. But things start falling apart because, of course, this is the internet's scariest online horror game. She starts recording herself like eating alone in her room and watching videos of other people participating in the World's Fair Challenge. And some of those were really wild. There's a guy sitting on the floor of a bathroom describing the feeling of Tetris blocks filling up his torso. Really kind of interesting metaphor for anxiety, I thought. And then there's the other video of a guy on a treadmill slapping himself, talking about how he can't feel anything.
Yep.
Just fun little unsettling clips. It doesn't really tell you too much about Casey.
So little. So little.
But I mean, it starts sneaking in. There's these kind of quick moments, like she gets busted for watching that "I'm turning to plastic" video.
Very Poppy-like.
Yeah, kind of like Poppy, Poppy, Kelly, a YouTube. Yes. I don't know. What
totally,
would you
I know that's what you meant.
Of course, at 3 a.m. you hear, which someone you could assume is her dad banging on the door, or I guess banging on the ceiling, saying it's 3 a.m. I don't think you ever see him. I don't know. I guess I just get the sense that there's a disconnect between her and her dad, where there's not a lot of openness in their conversations.
Okay, see, I felt like it was something far more traumatic than that.
Oh.
The only interaction we saw was him being pissed about the noise she was making.
Mm-hmm.
Like, zero evidence of any inquiry or interest in anything going on with her. A teenage daughter who's completely isolated and spending that much time on her computer. I feel like for him not to show any concern, interaction, anything, I felt like it was like in my head, I built a really cliche narrative of, oh, I bet her mom died or her mom left and her dad's just an angry, bitter old drunk and has no relationship with her. And she has no real human connections in her life and blah, blah. Like, I felt like it was worse than just, oh, teenager that doesn't get along with her dad. But obviously that was where my brain went. So
I don't know, Jacob, where do you land on that?
I mean, I also built up the same kind of idea that, her mother is no longer in the picture and that it's a single dad raising her. Didn't really dig too deep into like what the relationship looks like, other than she is just very shut off and isolated from everyone. I mean, if he were a single parent, he would likely have to be working a lot, and they just probably don't have a lot of interaction day to day, and she's just up in her bedroom alone on the internet.
I think why I feel a little bit different about that, Kelly, is you know Nancy, my mom, and my father Tom, great folks. I love them very much. In high school, I was extremely isolated as well. And I don't think it's always necessarily someone else's fault. I think that it's a difficult period in a lot of teenage folks' lives.
I understand that. But I think part of the reason I feel so strongly about those things is because I work with so many teenagers and I see a lot of those things happening.
Yeah.
And it's not ever that I would say it was the parent's fault, but to have a teenager in that kind of a situation and no evidence of any interest or interaction or attempts to help or any of that. Now, who knows? Obviously,
it seems like Jane really built this in a way that lets it be a personal thing for all of us,
Yeah, I think that is true.
Which is nice. Like, by not explicitly telling us this situation, we all have rooms to tap into our own personal experiences.
Yeah, I agree.
But she decides to film herself while she's sleeping, but she can't sleep, so she ends up sparking up an LED lantern and going outside to her garage, where I think we get a little bit more, like you said. I mean, maybe this is a good example of why her dad kind of rubs you like he's got this kind of man cave garage that she goes into, pulls out this rifle case and opens it up on his workbench and just looks at it.
By the way, Sam said it was a very shitty gun. I asked.
Not a great gun. Well,
yeah.
Dad maybe is a shitty guy. Even more evidence. She just kind of looks at it and then puts it away. The Casey character does this several times throughout this movie, where we're just kind of sitting there thinking the worst. We're not really relieved of any of that tension. Like, someone just sitting and staring at a gun is a very uncomfortable moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then she ends up going past his pool table and turns on the projector and kind of just sits on the couch and watches more YouTube. Tries to go to bed.
But again, like, she's seeking comfort, not even from any human she knows, but a random ASMR video. Like, that's real.
Can I just say, I hated that video so much.
The little ASMR
go to sleep. Oh my God.
Well, it was wildly cringy and uncomfortable, but she was wildly cringy and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I think it fit. Like, I agree. I was like, oh God. Oh.
When that was a real ASMR person, like I said at the top. It's a relatable thing, I suppose. I'm not an ASMR guy either, but autoplays continue, and it starts playing this message for Casey from JLB, the introduction of our second character, which is a horrifying little thing. A melted face screen cap from her video, where there's wind and menacing laughter playing. Her eyes go black. It says, "You are in trouble. I need to talk to you." And that flashes on the screen. cool.
That's a very creepy and unsettling scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Watching this in my bedroom at like 1 a.m. and pitch black, I was like, ooh, okay.
There's something about the projector on the wall that adds this kind of layer to it. It shook me up too. I really liked the way that was shot. And then the score kicks in. Alex G, formerly Sandy Alex G. How do you... I don't know. You're a cool guy, Jacob. What are your thoughts on Alex G?
I mean, as soon as this opening title sequence started and I heard the strumming of the guitar, I knew exactly what it was, and I was super into it. I mean, my only real experience with that artist is the album Beach Music.
Okay.
But I did really enjoy that album. I don't know why I haven't looked into more stuff. I'm just lazy. But yeah, it was great. Great score.
I love Alex G. For people who don't know, they're a lo-fi artist, slowcore musician. I think that was one of the first things that actually drew me to this film to cover before I knew anything about it. I was like, what the fuck? That's a weird choice for a horror score, but I love it. I think it's great. You have any strong feelings about it, Kelly?
It's the type of music I like. I obviously didn't recognize it because I'm not cool. I still like Come True's music better.
Okay, so you are an Electric Youth person more than a...
Yes.
Cool.
But it was
music.
good. It was good.
I don't want to walk through this whole thing, but I'm scrolling through my notes to think about some bigger moments.
Wait, I forgot to listen to the end of the IFC Midnight thing. How did Come True end up? Because that movie was not good.
Okay.
Fucking okay.
Okay.
Uh,
let's see what we got here. They connect.
Boy.
Was it JLB? Is that right? Yeah.
That's it. I'm going back to eating.
Nope. We're not going to eat on the mic.
Yep. I've got a
is it
burrito that I've
JLB
been
or
waiting.
JBL? Someone help me. JLB seems about right.
Well, JBL's a speaker brand.
company.
It is a speaker brand.
So I'm going to go ahead and say it's not that.
God damn it.
Casey and JLB connect via Skype, which I think was a really cool choice as well. That really triggers even that boop 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 noise. Like,
because no one uses Skype
didn't
anymore.
Skype kind of die during the pandemic?
It did,
Seems
because
like it should have flourished, because that's all it was like
Zoom stepped in. I mean, there's things like FaceTime audio. There's so many other ways to do it, but there's something, again, nostalgic about those noises. So they connect.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's got this pen and ink jester face. I don't know. It's
I changed that to my Discord avatar.
You're a nightmare person.
Of course you did.
JLB, shockingly
I'm going
awkward.
to change mine to Tree of Life.
Very uncomfortable guy. Kind of stuttering and breathing heavily, apologizing for scaring her and saying that he's been trying to get in touch with her.
Well, he's exactly the kind of guy that you would imagine spends hours on a computer starting chats with young people that he has zero actual connection with.
Well, no, he's the expert on the lore of the World's Fair, of course. But...
And the reason he's an expert on the lore of the World's Fair is because he spends hours
Yeah.
by himself in a dark room in front of a computer reaching out to people that are young, inappropriately so, that he will never actually have any real connection with.
Yeah, when she hangs up, she promises to keep him updated. Like you said, it flashes to this brighter, clearer shot of JLB, a bald, older man. He's played by...
Looks super familiar.
Well,
yeah, he's been in some things.
Not Barbarian Sound Studio. It was Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Yeah, yes.
Was one of the major films he's done, but he's been in a bunch of stuff. So
he was in a bunch of episodes in Supernatural.
Okay, I've never seen that because I'm an adult man who doesn't watch children's
All right,
shows.
Okay, Supernatural is actually one of the few things he's talked about that doesn't suck.
Well, you're both
a
lame
good show.
and losers, and that's
He was
fine.
in the Blacklist and played a character named Tommy Waddles.
That's a pretty fun name. I'm going to change my
That's
name.
pretty fun.
To that on Twitter. Kelly, you seem to have some really strong feelings about this guy right off the bat.
Okay.
You called him a creep, spends all of his time
So-
talking inappropriately to...
Here's what I'm going to say. I think even more so than Casey's situation, the situation of this gentleman is left totally up to random interpretation.
Yeah.
Because Jane places weird breadcrumb clues that aren't necessarily congruous. So when he's sitting in his room chatting, you can see behind him a bunch of trophies. And it feels more like a kid's room maybe than like a normal human room.
Like an empty nest type situation.
Yeah. And then you can see at some point he's sitting on the couch. He lives in a nice house. It's not like he's in some weird rundown apartment, right?
No,
He's
it's
not
suburban. Very suburban.
Very suburban, very waspy. He's sitting in the living room at one point, and a woman comes in the front door, and you can't even really tell, like, is that his wife? It could be his sister. It could be his mother. There's something going on there. Clearly, just like in Casey's world, there's this awkward and sad lack of any communication or interaction with the other physical human being in his space. And I think you're left to interpret what's going on.
I think
and so I have reasons to have pity for him.
Yeah.
But he's still a fucking creeper.
Okay.
I mean, the man likes warm milk, so...
Yeah, that is honestly terrifying.
I cannot go to bat for warm milk.
So, Jacob, you mentioned something about how you go into horror movies suspending disbelief. I do the same thing. I am willing to accept any crazy thing that is thrown at me in a horror movie if it will scare me. I didn't for a split second think that this was anything other than a real curse that was really going to cause bodily or mental harm to Casey, that was really causing damage to these other people on the internet. The notion that it was all an RPG did not even fucking cross my mind.
Yeah, I bought into a supernatural element to start this off.
Like
I didn't at all. That's so strange. I knew that this was entirely.
I think it's because I wanted that to happen.
Yeah, me too. I think
kind of
and
wanted
that is
from the film.
Yeah, and so and this is what I mean when I was saying the opposite of Neon Demon. Okay, so when we suddenly hit this point where you think all along that Casey is totally powerless and is this really sad, pathetic character and this awkward teenage girl, and you feel so bad for her. And
you believe her when she said what she did at the end?
Yes.
No. I don't know, Jacob, how do you feel about that? I mean, we've got a lot of other small moments that we could talk about, but I don't think she knew
that it was a game.
Yeah, that like the scene where she kind of.
I think maybe she did.
Just like her last conversation with him.
Yeah.
I think she went into it knowing it was a game, but I think
she got caught up in it.
As time moved on,
real life Slenderman case happened.
But I don't think she was ever actually like, oh gosh, like this is super scary. Something terrifying's happening to me. I think she was having fun with it the same way, I don't know.
The only thing I would point to counteract that statement is the fact that she destroyed her like beloved teddy bear and then a second later comes back and like freaks out over it like she didn't even realize
you think she's
that
making
was
content.
for the camera.
Why do you think
that was
you
content.
Think that okay?
But why do you think
that
what gives you evidence that it's
content
content other than her while crying saying, "Yeah,
I mean, she's
knew."
getting like 16 views on each video.
Right,
It's not like
but
she
for
has
a
like
kid,
a big fan base.
No.
Correct, but for a kid who doesn't talk to anyone in real life, 16 views is
why would you
fucking everything.
So you believe that she
because he said he was seeing the videos.
No, but you believe her when she says that she has no friends, but you don't believe her.
Yes.
So what makes one of those things more likely to be more true than the other?
No, what do you mean? I believe everything that she says. What are you talking about?
You're assuming that she gained this confidence. Where would she gain this confidence from? Like,
I'm not saying that she gained this confidence. I'm saying that at the beginning, at least my path with her was, oh, she's this really awkward teenager. And then it was, oh, she's this really sad, vulnerable, awkward teenager. One very much of feeling like, oh my gosh, somebody needs to protect her. This is a terrifying scenario. And then suddenly realizing, oh, actually, she had a grip on what was going on the whole time. The person that is really sad and completely out of control and needs help is the dude, because he's the one who doesn't have a grip on what's going on.
Why can't it be both?
That's not what I left with.
Okay.
I left with her in a position of much more, at least relative stability and grounding in reality versus his complete disconnect with reality in any way, shape, or form. And it could be the difference between he was disconnecting with reality because of, I mean, I would imagine some type of horrible tragedy in his life. And she was disconnecting with reality because she had an awkward, shitty teenage situation, but it wasn't anything life-altering. And so, you know, if I were to pan this movie out 20 years, she went on and did whatever thing she did. It wasn't,
I think it's time for dead giveaways.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a crazy theory about this.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I think we might all be on different pages here because this is the point in the show where we spoil parts of a movie. So if you don't want that to ruin your time, why don't you go watch We Are All Going to the World's Fair Now? It's available on VOD. Check it out. I believe HBO Max picked this thing up too. So, Kelly, what about the entire sequence at the end where
he obviously, that was like some weird equivalent of fan fiction. That's what he made up.
But
ding, ding, ding.
You're just completely disregarding the words that she said.
Disregarding what words that
she said? She was actively crying as she said, I know it's a game. You believe her when she said, I know it's a game?
I literally believed.
She was crying while she said that.
Yeah, no, I think that she did know it was a game and she was still crying because she got caught up in it and because it was an emotional thing. And she probably is really embarrassed about being such a weird, awkward kid. But as soon as she was called out of it, it was no longer fun to her anymore, and it was no longer something she was going to continue to engage in, and that was it. And he never heard from her again, for sure.
I guess, is it the final sequence where he's dictating what could have happened years down the line? That did seem a lot like fan fiction. I completely agree. I guess the confrontation that they had, the you know it's a game moments, I took that as that she needed that reminder that it was a game, because she did seem genuinely surprised by that question and emotionally reacted to it. I think maybe somewhere in the middle, like she did get caught up in it where she lost herself. I don't think she was ever going to shoot her dad. I don't think that.
No, I don't either.
I think that was her playing out the darkness. I do think that she truly thought something was wrong with her. I don't think that was an act.
Okay, buckle in.
Okay, strapped up.
I'm excited.
This is gonna get a little wild. First off, I do agree. I think she fully lost herself within this game, and I don't think she snapped back out of it until he had to remind her it was just a game.
I'm with you.
And it was at that moment it was like, oh shit, fuck, you're right. And her reaction to that was to get defensive and to be like, well, of course I knew. Like, that was just her instinct to like kind of not feel so embarrassed by it.
Fuck you, don't talk to me again, pedophile.
Yeah. Okay, so the final scene where he's dictating this, like, 1 year later, she messaged me and apologized, and then we went out for food and blah, blah, blah. That obviously did not happen. Like, that, there's no way.
No.
Here's my crazy thoughts about this. He killed her, and he's using, because he knows there's videos, public videos on the internet of her claiming she's going to kill herself. So he could go and then kill her, and the suspicion wouldn't be on him because people are going to think she was suicidal because of the videos she had posted. And he might have even been the person to create this whole World's Fair thing in the first place, and that's how he found her videos. And, you know, someone like that is going to be able to, you know, track down where the videos were posted from, her location, stuff like that. And this huge, long final scene is him just coming up with a complete bullshit story as his, like, alibi to once again get his eyes off of him for her.
Okay, but if it was his alibi, saying that he met up with her would make it less of an alibi.
That's true.
Okay, so
but I don't think
like
he's
the
really...
theory.
I do like the
1.5
of this. I like the extension of this world. There's two moments where he says something where he slides into this like insecure shame, and you can see it kind of wash over him. And that did happen at the end of his dictation of what happened. And that's what led me to believe that he was like, he knew he was wrong about the relationship that he had with her. There was some sort of sick intentions with what he was doing, and he has a history of that. That's why his whole life is so, I don't even know how to describe it, because we only see these quiet moments where he's just completely isolated.
So you think he's a lonely because he's a long-standing pedophile, whereas I thought he might be lonely because his son died and his wife didn't talk to him anymore.
Oh, fuck, you didn't even think he was a pedophile? Okay.
Well, no, I mean, like, he clearly has pedophilic tendencies, but I didn't think that was, like, the reason for his isolation.
Yeah, I think he... Well, I was going to say broke the trust of his his marriage. But of course, I mean, it's so much darker and deeper than that when you have sex crimes like pedophilia.
Technically ephebophilia. She was 16.
She was 16. Thanks for being so specific and
Hold on.
creepy.
What is that word you just used? Because that's a terrifying word.
It's the difference between
It's when
pre
you're-
or post-pubescence, I believe.
Yeah, it's ages 15 to 19 versus like children.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably is a pretty important delineation.
It can be, but it's also, I don't like it because it's all bad.
It's very, yeah, it's all just not okay.
It would be like if a
But
guy's
yeah,
like,
that's the
it's not
thing, like-
that bad, I'm just a...
Right.
No.
But that's another reason why I feel like his story at the end is completely made up, is because like the last thing she says is, "Don't ever talk to me again, pedophile." That's it. Like, there's no way a year later she's going to come back and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry I said that." Like,
And just the way it was described, like none of it made sense, and just like the weird details about like, oh, and we touched, like it's just so fucking.
That was the line where his face dropped after he said, what is it? They grabbed all the dollar pizza slices and made future plans to see a movie. Hugged outside Penn Station and said goodnight. I can't believe I was touching her, and then you kind of see that he's gone too far.
Oh, I think you're right. That's a good point.
Which it was a really like, you have this built-in sympathy for this character, but you know that something's wrong under the surface. It's really complex. And that moment after this beautifully written fan fiction, and like the moment where she says she apologized to him for disappearing and not responding after Skype. And then they talk about that night. She says that night she made it there to the planetarium, past the grounds, into the heart of the fair. But something pulled me back. And he said that he stayed up all night with his hands on the monitor of his computer praying for her to come back. And she said that she felt it. That is some really wild, like striking visual fan fiction. It is just one element of the surreality of his fan fiction that kind of pulls you back. But it's like, it was just a sign of his dishonesty about that moment.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, and it's all a big one-take monologue of a computer camera staring back at him, and it's incredibly well acted, especially for such a complex character.
I would agree.
What a fucking movie, am I right?
Yeah.
I don't think we skipped over too much stuff. I love the dance sequence. You brought that up a little bit earlier, Kelly.
God, so hard to watch.
Feel so good. You're the gust of wind against my bed.
It was perfect levels of like cringe and almost relatability, like how she just like screamed in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like let it all out and then went back to it. I was like, what?
Song about like marshmallows melting and winter storm wind and snow, and that's
I'm wondering how much of that was improvised.
It seemed like
'Cause
entirely
I did read in
improvised.
an interview that there was a good amount of improvisation in this film.
Oh, I could totally see that.
She was amazing. She was so good.
Did she not have like a random accent come through?
Okay,
off and on?
I thought she sounded like she had a weird European accent.
Yeah,
that was like
but she's
being
like- she's from
covered as
Texas.
an American accent. Yeah, and then that's what I read. I was like, okay, well, apparently not.
I don't know. I heard it.
confused me a little
I took it as like just socially awkward, like someone who doesn't talk a lot publicly or loudly. I like these little movies, the little YouTube videos, even the ones that don't really matter too much, like the burial graveyard and the AutoZone segments and the waterfalls where she's
The AutoZone, yeah.
yeah, she's confronting this plywood Santa Claus.
That made me laugh. I thought that was funny.
That was pretty funny, actually.
And maybe, I don't know why this sucked me in so much, Kelly. These moments of like tension where you're like, I don't know what she's going to do, but I'm afraid of whatever she's going to do, mostly to herself.
Mm-hmm.
That was my concern. Like these small moments where she's just like quietly walking. That one video called Random Thought where she talks about, my father keeps a gun in the barn and thinks I don't know about it. That's just such a fucked up, heavy line.
Yeah.
Cool stuff, man. Weird movie, right?
Yes.
I do think talking about this has made me come around and enjoy it just a little bit more than I previously did.
It's still one of those movies that's really left up for interpretation in a lot of different ways. But
just a quick infusion of Sam's thoughts. Sam was pretty into it for the first part. We were watching it. Then he got pretty annoyed. Then he got more annoyed.
Oh, okay.
And by the end, he was like, well, that should have been a fucking short.
No, shut up, Sam. This is like...
I watched it with my roommate, and he said, wow, they're really padding this out, aren't they?
Sam was like, if this would have been a short, it would have been really effective. But it felt just like it was artsy trying way too hard without enough to carry it. And obviously, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I felt like...
I could have watched another hour and a half of this, but I'm crazy.
But that is not surprising about you at all.
Yeah. The closest, I kept thinking like, oh, this reminds me of Like Me, which was a film that Sam absolutely hated. Remember that? Addison Timlin?
I thought this was way better than Like Me, though.
Well, how much?
What's hard for me, final thoughts for this. What's hard for me is I don't even know that I would call this a horror.
I've got
which is what's difficult for me. If I'm judging its horror value, it would be a very different score. But in terms of just a movie, I thought it was really well done. I was really drawn in and surprised by the trajectory. To have a movie that is entertaining and captivating with such a teeny tiny and relatively inexperienced cast, that's quite a statement about all of the artists involved. And yes, Byron and Jacob, the music was very cool.
Gosh.
So We Are All Going to the World's Fair 7.1 misunderstood H.H. Holmes references.
Okay. How about you, Jacob?
Had me hooked instantly. It never got to the point where it lost me, but I didn't fully sink in as much as I would have liked. I personally would have liked to see a little more substance, but overall I did enjoy it aesthetically. I liked the score a lot. I thought the performances were great from the two human beings we get in the entire movie. I think it's definitely worthwhile. I mean, the runtime's 82 minutes, so I think it's absolutely worth seeing. I would probably give this 6.75 dumbass waterfalls.
That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I think this is really an authentic and refreshing mixed media horror film. I like the lower resolution video and how it felt almost analog with all the nostalgia app integration like Skype, QuickTime, the photo booth countdown beeps got me. Yeah, very specific to a period in my life. Yeah, a snapshot of a lost girl, desperately isolated. I am worried, though, Kelly, that this is, I guess that people who are expecting a more traditional horror aren't going to like this or consider it horror, I guess.
That's what pissed Sam off, I think.
This one ripped me open. I really, really enjoyed this film, and it's one of my favorites of the year so far. I give We're All Going to the World's Fair 8.9 blacklight wall stars. And those are our thoughts on We're All Going to the World's Fair, which is available now on VOD. So go check it out, track it down, and once you've seen it, let us know what you thought. Tweet us or Instagram us at Frightday. You could send us an email, contact@frightday.com. You could leave a comment below this episode in the show notes at frightday.com, or we could talk about it in the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Frightday, or in the Discord server, discord.frightday.com. And we did forget to mention Jane's future projects. I saw the TV Glow.
No, that's not true. Jacob already
It was brief.
It.
It just said that it's something coming out on A24, right?
Yes, correct.
Maybe.
Did you say something else? It's centered on two friends growing up in the 90s who are obsessed with a TV show called The Pink Opaque, a reflection on coming out and the forces that can stand in the way. Jane has also completed 600 pages of a 3-season TV show they're working on called Public Access Afterworld, which is also being produced by A24, but they haven't tied a network to that quite yet.
Wow.
So really, really excited for that. And I guess Public Access Afterworld is meant to be part of like a screen trilogy with the World's Fair, and I saw the TV Glow. So they're all going to kind of have the same, or some sort of connective tissue. But really excited for all projects coming from Jane in the future. I'm revitalized by this film. But if you like our show and want to help us make it even better, grab something spooky.
Of course they like our show.
Shop.frightday.com. I'm staring at 2 bottles of hot sauce that we're going to be launching these very soon. I'm doing a label redesign for all 3 of our...
Such a waste of your energy.
No, they're going to be beautiful.
Your time.
I do, and I just want to make a beautiful bottle of sauce for you to put on your beautiful food and take beautiful Instagram images of you dousing. Jacob's a big fan of the Gates of Hell Chipotle hot sauce I've seen. I've seen some tacos with it.
Been slurping it down on some eggs.
You haven't sold that other shit to anybody, have you, Byron?
Don't call it shit. It's coming out soon, okay?
It is so so bad.
It's called
It
Hotter
is the
Than
worst
Hell.
thing.
It's called Hotter Than Hell.
Is that the scorpion?
It is scorpion pepper extract.
It is so fucking
It's actually
gross.
it's ghost pepper extract, which is spookier. So
And I will tell you, no, it's not spooky.
Yeah,
it's
it
not.
is.
It's like painfully hot and a horrible taste. Like it's the combination.
people are gonna love it.
So bad.
People are gonna eat this up. It's coming soon, along with. I'm trying to figure out what to call the other.
Zero recommendations from anyone who has ever put it in their
You're
mouth.
selling this stuff soon at shop.frightday.com. But if you want another episode each week, you'll love Behind the Screams. Kelly.
My value on this show rests upon people believing me. I am not going to tell them that they should buy that shit.
Jacob, really happy to have you on the show. I'm hoping that we can do this more often with the folks over at Frightday.com doing writing God's work over there.
It is great. I am going to need to tell you, Jacob, that before we chat again, I'm going to need you to watch all David Lynch movies.
No, don't need to do that.
And I need a thesis connecting all of them and why it's the most impressive world theory of any artist in the history of recorded mankind.
he's gonna Bart Simpson blackboard the situation and just write Dasha Nekrasova a bunch of times, even though it's not related. It's not gonna happen, Kelly.
Yep.
Okay, so I've approached David Lynch in the exact opposite way anyone should approach David Lynch, and that is by the first things I ever saw by him were all of his college films and pre-Eraserhead short films.
Why?
And then I saw Eraserhead, and then I saw Inland Empire.
So have you watched, I feel like we've had this discussion. Have you watched Twin Peaks?
I started it.
Okay.
Kelly, until next week, where are you going to be?
Just fuck the fuck up.
Leave him alone.
Watch it. I will send you books to read with it.
I don't think he's going to do that.
Well, where will I be
Yeah.
until next Friday? Obviously putting together coursework for Jacob.
At Kelly Frightday on Twitter. Kelly@frightday.com is your email address. How about you, Jacob? Where can people find you?
Follow me. I need more people on Letterboxd. Be my friend on
Great
Letterboxd
call.
and keep up with all my hot takes and stupid ratings. What's my name on there? I think it's just my name.
I think it might just be.
Jacob Seaver, yeah.
And how do you spell that?
JACOBSEVER.
And
Well, then what's that? The first
the J. It's kind of like an I, but with a curly thing at the bottom there. I'm at Byron McKoy
I'm going to go onto Letterboxd and yell at you.
Twitter and Instagram. Byron@frightday.com is my email address. Byron McKoy on Letterboxd, I guess, as well. And until next Friday, I'm Byron.
I am Kelly.
And I'm Jacob.
You are. Good job.
Was
You
that-
did it.
Nailed
you
it.
did it. Stay away from children.
And stay scared of adults. You've been listening to an Audio Wool original, produced by Byron McKoy. Theme music provided by Cemeteries. For more programs like this, visit audiowool.co.